So thank you everyone for joining. This is going to be an amazing webinar today with great research projects from great students and educators from across the globe community. This is the State of Trees, May 2025. This is actually the 81st monthly webinar for the Trees Around the Globe student research campaign, highlighting several excellent IVSS 2025 student research projects related to trees and land cover from across the globe community. Today is Wednesday, the 28th of May, 2025. And I like to start off a little bit about, with some quotes and a little bit about research, since that's what we're talking about today. A couple quotes here. First one from a gentleman named Charles Kettering, who is an American engineer. Research means that you don't know, but are willing to find out. Also, since Peter and I sit at NASA centers, I thought a quote from a former astronaut, Neil Armstrong. He was also an engineer. Research is creating new knowledge. Pretty simple quote, but it speaks volumes. And then another interesting one I thought was really cool from Pope John Paul II. He was the head of the Catholic Church and the sovereign of the Vatican City State. He was 1920 to 2005. He said, through research, each scientist grows as a human being and helps others to do likewise. So I thought this was great, leading us into what we're going to talk about today, what all the students are going to be talking about today with their research, their collaborative research, their discussion about what they've done in their local environments, looking at trees, land cover, and everything else around them in order for them to come up with answers to questions that they came up with for the research projects and their submission to the Globe IVSS 2025. So, sorry for this small text, but there is a lot to get on here for this agenda. And as you can see right now, we're in the introduction and the housekeeping. I'm going to do some metrics. And then I'm going to pass it over to Peter Falcon to talk about a really cool article that he recently came upon. And then I'm going to show you a really cool story map that was put together, that Google actually put together. And then we're going to do a quick introduction with something called Setting the Stage for the IVSS project presentations. And it's a quick YouTube short with Peter Nelson and his advisee, Michaela Wilson Rodriguez at Oregon State University, comparing satellite land cover data using ground observations. And then we will get into the featured presentation, starting in Argentina, then going to Croatia, then Estonia, and then the United States at Crestwood High School, and then the United States with the C students. So, and then we will have some discussion. We will also, so the students know, we will have a question and answer session following each featured presentation. We're not going to wait to the end to do all the question and answer because that's just too much to remember. So we recommend that, when you're listening, the participants, the students who aren't presenting, when you're listening to a presentation, if you have questions, feel free to put it in the chat. Peter will remind you to do that as well. But also, we'll open it up too if anybody wants to unmute their microphones after the presentations to ask any questions. But Peter will lead the question and answer sessions after each featured presentation. So we're looking forward to that. So quick metrics here. This is where we are, where we have active participants. We are in 69 countries right now. We know Globe has 127 countries, but we have participants from 69 countries that are active in the Trees Around the Globe student research campaign as of right now. So you can see we have a wide distribution across the Globe community, across the world. These are the observations of tree height, land cover, and greenings, green up and green down, through the life of the campaign, which we began on the 15th of September, 2018, in correlation with the launch of the NASA Ice Cloud and Land Elevation Satellite 2, which has a huge part of this campaign, all the way through to today, where I went and did some metrics today, and it takes us all the way through today directly. So as of today, 28th of May, 2025, a combination of the tree height, land cover, and green up measurements since 15th of September 2018, we have 207 observations from 71,563 global sites. So you can see here, the majority of these are the tree height observations, and then we have the green up, green down, and then land cover observations. And I saw that we have of course, we have a lot of folks from the Globe, Europe, and Eurasia region, including the regional office. So thank you for that, and the Estonia coordinator, Laura Alton. So thank you for being here. But we attribute almost the full majority of these green up, green down measurements to the Europe and Eurasia office and the European Phenology Campaign. So thank you so much for having all those observations in there in the database for student and professional researchers to use when needed. So I just wanted to bring these metrics to attention because we have an amazing amount of observations throughout the life of the campaign so far. And as you know, we are in year 7 of the campaign. So I'm going to pass this over to Peter Falcon. So hours before, I added these a few days ago, Peter. So hours before a solar eclipse, spruce trees talk to one another. So we have one tree saying, "I heard it's going to get dark soon," and the other tree says, "Been there, done that. Stick with me. I'll get you through it." So I'm gonna pass it over to Peter now. And do you want me to say this one or go to the next one?
That one for now.
Okay.
Thanks, Brian. Yeah, when we see research articles or papers that are really neat, very interesting, that deal with land cover and tree height, often we just want to share them with everyone here, so you can take time to read through that and learn something new and something interesting about trees. And my Sunday morning, I'm having my coffee, reading through stuff, and this article came up, and I thought this is awesome to share with all the folks that are interested in trees and land cover. So I just want to take just a quick minute to talk about this article, and I'll put the link in the chat so you can look at it as well. But basically, you can go to the next slide, Brian. Thanks. So one thing we know when we think of the solar eclipse, often research tends to lead to animal behaviors. We want to know how animals react before, after, during the solar eclipse. But very little is learned. Very little is learned about trees. In this international collaboration team of researchers from Italy, United Kingdom, Australia, Spain, what they did was they came together to study spruce trees in the Dolomite Mountains, which is a forest in Italy. And they put up these, you can see these long tubes there of bioelectric activity. So what they did was they measured the activity of spruce trees, mostly older trees, before the solar eclipse, before that hit. And what they found was a lot of the older trees were able to talk to the younger trees and let them know what was going on, which is very interesting because it's something that I personally did not know. And basically, what they found is a lot of these older trees are using memory from past eclipse and past activities that they're now sharing with a lot of the younger trees, which is once again very interesting, based on the bioelectrical activity that they measured. And I included a quick quote there from one of the researchers, and she says the fact that older trees respond first, potentially guiding the collective response of the forest, speaks volumes about their role as memory banks of past environmental events. And they went on to say, really, this is kind of like the World Wide Web, where they're just kind of sharing this information about their surroundings and what's going on. And once again, this is something that researchers have not studied yet. So hopefully, this is the first of many papers on this research topic. So once again, tree related, awesome article, and just wanted to share it with you guys, and hopefully that sparks some interest in future research for yourself. And then Brian, I do like the little blurbs you put up there, because that even after you put it up, I'm reading like I didn't remember doing that. So yeah, just wanted to share that. I'll put the article in the chat and just turn it back over to you, Brian.
All right, thank you, Peter. Yeah, very cool article, and just something I never would have even thought about. So it's amazing what some of the research is out there, and what it can really tell about environment. So thank you, Peter. All right, so I'm going to show you. I'm going to stop the PowerPoint and go to this website. But I was doing some searching. For we're actually working on and I announced this a couple of months ago that the ICESat-2 satellite fired its 2 trillionth laser shot. So my colleague Valerie Casasanto and I'm not sure she's on now. She's often on these webinars. but we're actually creating a story map for the 2 trillionth laser shot, focusing on where what the orbit, the whole orbit path, the 90-minute orbit path where that laser shot was fired. So we were doing some research into some existing story maps, and I happened to find this one, and it basically says by NASA, but it wasn't essentially created by NASA. It was created using NASA materials by Google, which I thought was interesting. But it's called "The Forest and the Trees: From Space, the Air, and the Ground. NASA Earth Science helps us understand and manage this ecosystem vital to our planet's health." So, and I'll also put this link in the chat in a little bit. But I'm gonna get out of this and then pop back into the browser so I can show you this here. Can you see that, Peter? Forest in the Trees now?
Yes.
All right, cool. All right, so yeah, so here's a story map. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this. I want you to, check this out at your leisure. But yeah, it's really cool because it really focuses on some of the things that we've talked about in our campaign, like some of the missions, some of the data, some of the visualizations that we've seen. But with story maps are really cool because it's a really highly visual way to showcase things without having tons of words on the screen that you have to read, and you get bored very fast. So you got highly visual things. We're starting off with this agricultural area. We're showing the green lands and area like that. But as you scroll down, it really talks about it goes into Ethiopia, some videos, and it goes into area where there's populated. This looks like the suburbs of around the city, around waterways. But then it also gets into some, as I mentioned, some of these videos, some of the false camera imaging, into the global perspective, and it goes into some of the missions like we've talked about in our campaign, the Global Ecosystems Dynamic Investigation, or the JEDI instrument on the International Space Station. But then it also goes into the Ice Cloud and Land Elevation Satellite too. So feel free to check this out at your leisure because it's a really cool thing that Google put together. Just grabbing of these observations and visuals that NASA's put together. And one thing I thought was interesting here is that, and I looked this up to see if it was real, but apparently this farmer here is a musician as well, because if you look at this in the center, that he carved part of the field to look like a guitar. So I thought this was interesting as well, that you can see this from space. Kind of interesting. You can see here, it was planted by an Argentine farmer to honor his late wife. So very, very cool. My son's a musician, so I showed this to him, and he really appreciated this as well. So very, very, very cool. So I wanted to show you that as well, and I'll pop that in the chat in a few minutes. But before we get into the first presentation, I just want to show you something real fast. So this is sent from our own Peter Nelson. Is Peter on by any chance? Peter?
No.
Okay, I didn't think so. Peter's working. He's at a conference in Portland right now with a lot of our colleagues, so he's not able to make it today. But he sent me this. He created this YouTube short with a student of his. He's been working with for a student research project. But this has helped us get us thinking about the projects we're about to hear. So I'm just going to play this real fast, and then we will get back to the PowerPoint and then jump into the first feature presentation.
There's no volume, Brian.
Oh, strange. Okay. Oh, I know.
There's captions, though. It is captioned.
All right. We'll keep it captioned instead of having to go back. All right, so sorry that didn't have volume. That was a little thing I needed to click when I went and shared it. But what I want to mention is that that was something that Peter's worked on called Adopt the Pixel 3 km, 3 kilometers. So that's going to be a one of the focuses of our June 2025 webinar. Okay, we're going to have a couple things we're going to be focusing on for that webinar, and I'll show you. I'll announce that at the end of the webinar today. But that is something we're going to focus more on. So that was kind of just a teaser for that, and to set us up for that for this as well. So I'm going to pop back to the PowerPoint, and we're going to go from there. Okay, we're going to start here. All right, play current slide. All right, still look good, Peter?
Sorry, I unmuted. Yes, looks great.
Yeah. All right. So now we're going to get into the meat and bones of our webinar today. We're going to be focusing on the 5 featured presentations. And as you can see, they come from all over the globe community, from the United States, from Argentina, from Croatia, and from Estonia. As you can see, we have a great variety of presentations that are about to happen. So some of these will be pre-recorded. I believe 4 of them are going to be pre-recorded, and we have many of the students here to answer any of your questions or engage in any discussions with you. As I mentioned earlier, we will have a question and answer session at the end of each presentation. I'm going to show some of the recording. I'll show the recording for several of them, and then we will go to question and answer after that, and then we will continue to the next one. So the first one is going to be from Argentina, St. Luke's College, Horace Santa Maria. Trees in our community using GLOW to contribute with primary and secondary data analysis. And the students on this project are Sophia, 3 Sophias, that's awesome, Verena, Michaela, and Augustina, and the Globe educator, Maria Marta Gutierrez. So this was just a screenshot of the poster they did, and they sent us a video. So I'm going to play that now. And then, as I mentioned, and Peter can remind everyone also in the chat, please feel free to add any questions and answers in the chat. But then after the video is over, Peter will open it up for any discussion and question and answer. So here we go. Should volume's up. Peter, I'm going to quickly play it just to make sure the volume's there, and then let me know. I'll pause it then.
Have you ever?
Yeah, we can hear it.
All right, great. Here we go.
Have you ever wondered how the trees we see every day contribute to the environment? How can increasing knowledge about tree species that surround us help us protect an ecosystem?
We are students from San Luke's College HSM in Argentina, and for the past 2 years have been researching the trees in our area, concerned about the removal of trees and planting of foreign species. Our objective was to increase knowledge about the trees in our community. We came up with 4 important questions. Which species grow in our neighborhood? Which is the frequency of species? Which is the frequency of height and circumference of these trees? And which is the sample's total carbon capture?
This project started in April 2023 and continued until October 2024. This report is a continuation of our previous studies in the area. The research was done in a private organization called Ara Santa Maria in Loma Verde, Escobar, Buenos Aires, Argentina.
The climate in the area is temperate and humid, with annual averages of 17.2 degrees and 1,104 millimeters of rain. Originally, this area was a grassland, but in the last 20 years, it has developed into a private urbanization. Actual land cover could be considered MUC 821, parks and athletic field.
Through our participation in both LAC tree campaigns, we trained ourselves in GLOW tree protocols and used them as a way to collect primary data. We analyzed tree height, tree circumference, and species frequency. And this past year, we included the carbon cycle protocol in order to collect carbon capture data.
Our process included going out into the field, collecting data, using the GLOBE tree and carbon capture protocols, and having each individual student upload their data to the GLOBE app and into an individual Excel sheet. After this, a designated team of students would upload the data into a joint database, which we used for our analysis.
Through our previous research experience, we came into contact with GLOBE protocols and databases and decided they were going to be the key in this investigation. Thus, we came up with the following research questions. 1. How could obtaining primary data for globe databases contribute to increasing knowledge about the trees in our community? 2. How could globe databases help monitor our trees over the years? Specifically, how could globe databases contribute to deciding future actions, and how we could use globe visualization systems in order to compare them with trees from other regions?
We sampled 608 specimens, identified 468, and determined 41 species, compared to last year's 25, belonging to 27 families. By analyzing the data we had collected, we determined that the most frequent species is Fraxinus pennsylvanica marshall. Tree heights range between 5 and 246 meters, and tree circumference between 10 and 350 centimeters. Most species are exotic and deciduous, and native species represent 8% of total carbon capture.
One of the most important parts of collecting primary data was the creation of a tree catalog for our community. Senior 4 2024 students created a catalog detailing every species registered and its characteristics. This allowed us to not only become aware of the nature that surrounds us, but also of how our choices can affect the ecosystem. We hope that in the future, when a neighbor wants to plant a tree, they can refer to our catalog and find the option that is best for them and the environment. Through our research, we found an area in the neighborhood that we labeled the talat area. Talas are native trees, so they add significant value to the ecosystem. Through Google Earth satellite images, we were able to identify that the tree pre-existed the urbanization in the area. Because of their value and antiquity, we consider it of key importance to preserve them.
Through our research, and particularly the complications through it, we realized how easy it is to upload a tree to Globe twice, as coordinates are not always exact. So as a solution, we designed a tree marker prototype made out of recycled bottles to let other Globe scientists know that the specific individual has already been registered. After uploading all of our samples to the Globe page, we wondered if there were any other Globe sites that we could do a comparative study with. We found 2 sites with similar amounts of biometric measurements, Globe V-School in Croatia and Colegio Montessori de Cartagena in Colombia. We downloaded their data from Globe ADA and compared tree height, circumference, and species frequency with our own data. This experience allowed us to see just how useful Globe data and Globe ADA can be in interregional comparisons.
Our research allowed us to become aware of the impact trees have on the environment and how important it is to consider things beyond landscaping in private urbanizations. Collecting primary data allowed us to enrich Globe databases and create our own catalog, which we hope will be a useful tool for future decisions. Our data and Globe data and tools also helped us compare entirely different regions and understand the importance of recording and categorizing our surroundings to further understand the world we live in.
Wow, what a wonderful video. There's so much to unpack in that video. You did quite a lot of research. Do you have a couple questions? I'm gonna look through to see if anyone put anything in the chat. If not, I'll go to my questions. One of them is, we heard the term, carbon capture before, but what is exotic carbon capture? That one comes from Brian Campbell. Oh, I think you're muted.
I'm sorry, could you repeat the question again, please?
Of course, yeah. Of course. So we've heard the term carbon capture before, but what is exotic carbon capture?
From exotic plants, we had our whole tree collection, and we divided it into 4, which was native, exotic, hybrid, and naturalized. The exotic carbon capture is the carbon capture captured by the exotic group.
Gotcha. Okay. Makes perfect sense now. Thanks for explaining that. I'm glad you knew what that meant as well.
So there were a lot of exotic trees in that location then, because I saw exotic carbon capture was very high.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah, it's amazing to see how many trees in general you measured. That's quite a lot of trees.
Yeah.
It was a group effort. We worked on it. A lot of people that aren't here today worked on it behind the scenes. We did it as part of the classwork. We went out into the field and out into our neighborhood and measured, I think, around 20 or more than 20 trees per student. And we were 30 students, and some of them measured even 50 trees. Wow. It was amazing.
That is quite a lot. I love the fact that you build off of like previous work that you've done. You said you've done before, and then you not only used your research, but then you also went to other schools and other countries to see what trees were like in those countries. Can you tell us a little bit about that process?
Yes, we went into Globadat and we researched if they had the same amount of measurements as we did because we wanted to compare something kind of even. And we found these two schools that precisely researched tree height, circumference, and tree species. And we said, this is awesome. And we downloaded everything. We filtered it in Excel through pivot charts and graphs and even manually. And then we came up with those results, which were quite stunning because we had different similarities and even quite a lot of differences because of the different regions, and we were happy with it. We understood a lot.
That is awesome. Yeah, it looked really amazing. Not only your poster, but your video was quite amazing. So, one last question before we go on to the next presentation. What is next? What do you guys plan on doing next? Do you plan on sharing it with your community? Do you plan on, looking for more countries to compare your trees to? What's next for you guys?
So something that we're really proud of, as you saw in the video, is we created a catalog with all of the species of the trees and their impact on the environment. We would love to get that closer to our community. We had a science fair at school where we shared it and people were able to see it, but we would love to make it widely available. And then from there, I think Sophie can explain it best, but we would love to increase measurements about carbon capture and hopefully get to analyzing the entirety of the neighborhood, because there is still a small percentage that we haven't gotten to.
That's right. We plan on doing bundles in the next years to compare the whole scope and different variables that we couldn't include right now, but we're still working on it. So we're growing.
Awesome. Sounds like they're not going to be done, Brian, until they measure every tree.
Yeah, right.
I would also suggest
Getting close to it.
A neat little publication for that book that you put together. That would be pretty cool for such young age students to have something like that, published. So just a thought.
Yeah, that catalog is amazing. That's such a great idea.
The most difficult, good afternoon to all of you. The most difficult challenge or biggest challenge was that to start a research, people needs to make something, a difference, and finding that there were no knowledge about the trees in their own neighborhood was really the key for that. That's the clue. From that initial common motivation to make a catalog for our neighborhood, then it starts with another type of working as a team, we could say.
We figured it would be more motivating even for us to be able to know it's not you just going out into the field and measuring a tree because your teacher told you. You're doing it so that in the end you have this physical result, this book, and it's good for you and it's good for your community.
Especially
and I was like, and the next generation, once you have younger students coming in, you can refer to that and say, but this is what we did. Why don't you build off of this and continue this research? That is amazing work. Do you have any last comments before we go on to our next presentation?
No, it's okay.
Once again, amazing work. I would advise you to look through the comments because a colleague of ours, they're writing very nice things about you. And I just want you to take time and look through the comments, maybe write back to them. All right, great work, guys.
Thank you.
Very welcome.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Excellent. Yeah, thank you so much. Oop, all right, sorry, jumped too fast. All right, so our next feature presentation comes from Croatia, from the Medicina Škola Varaždin, so land cover in Varaždin, and we have students from the project Eva, Marta, and Elena, and Globe educators Mirella and Raja. So we're excited about this, and this is going to be a live presentation, so I will go ahead and stop sharing, and I will pass it over to our friends in Croatia. You can go ahead and unmute and take it away.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Can you see the screen?
Yep, looks good.
Okay. Greetings, everyone. My name is Eva, and today here with me are Marfa and Helena. And today we will present our project, Land Cover in Varaždin, Croatia. I will now give the words to Helena.
Medical School Varaždin is regional competence center for innovative health technologies. Medical School Varaždin has been involved in the GLOBE program since 1998. We regularly carry out observation and measurements in Varaždin and its surroundings. We have joined the Global Climate and Carbon Campaign to monitor land cover change in the Varaždin area. Varaždin lays in the north of Croatia on the right bank of the Drava. To the north lays the protected forest area of the Drava Forest Park. The area around the town is predominantly agricultural.
In this study, we were interested in whether the land cover in the surroundings of Varaždin changed between 2016 and 2022. We indirectly found out whether the build-up area of the city of Varaždin has increased in the same period. We conducted the study on the basis of satellite images of the dynamic world land cover type, which are available on the Google Earth Engine apps page. The images were taken as a part of the Sentinel-2 mission. Sentinel-2 is Earth observation mission that systematically collects optical images with high spatial resolution over land and coastal waters. The mission supports a wide range of services and applications such as agricultural monitoring, emergency management, land cover classification, or water quality. We observed recordings that were taken on August 14, 2016 and June 18, 2022. Both recordings were taken in the summer period of the year. On this map, you can see that the built area is red, the water is blue, the trees are green, and crops are orange.
So if we move the mouse cursor to the right side, you can see the results taken by the satellite in the year of 2016. And if we move to the left, you can see the picture from 2022. So for our results, when we compared the size of the buildup area, which is in the red color, in the observed period, we couldn't actually find any differences. When we were looking at the land cover, we noticed that the areas of forest, which are in the dark green color, and grassland, which are in the light green color, decreased at the expense of arable land that is in the orange color. We observed this change throughout the city, but except on the northern edge, which is actually covered by the protected Drava Forest Park. The area around Varaždin is traditionally an agricultural area, so we conclude that the demand for agricultural products has caused the conversion of this land. The surroundings of Varaždin are urbanized and agriculture is very intensive in this area. For our conclusion, the observed change in land cover has a negative impact on biodiversity, which is clearly seen in the picture. Most of the grassy areas were intended for mowing in the form of meadows. In this form, they provided a habitat for meadow plants and animals. The disappearance of wooded areas also reduced the biodiversity of these areas. The reduction of green areas, which are meadows and forests around the town of Varaždin, had a negative impact on the microclimate in this area as well. The intensive agricultural use of the land also had a negative impact on the groundwater. Artificial fertilizers and pesticides reduce the quality of the groundwater, which altogether has a negative impact. That would be all from us today. Thank you for listening to our presentations. If you have any questions, please ask. Thank you.
I do have a question. Is that your school?
No, that's the old town.
Oh, yeah. Wow, you guys got a school in a castle. That is amazing.
Yeah.
First off, great job on your presentation. Something Brian and I enjoy seeing is not only satellite imagery, that's something that we just enjoy seeing, but also the way you put together your story map. is something that we enjoy seeing as well, because it's such a great way to tell the story, tell your research in a really impactful way. So once again, great job on putting your story map together.
Thank
Um,
you.
One question I do have is, with your results, is that something that you expected to see? Is that something that kind of like, you thought like, huh, I'm seeing some change, but not that big of a change, or was it much bigger change than you expected?
Well, we knew there would be a change. I mean, given this project, it was very interesting for us to study it. It was precisely because we observed this with the reduction of green areas, and there was clearly a significant loss of habitats for plants and animals, which is altogether really a bad situation. This also led to soil erosion and a general loss of moisture. The change in water infiltration and flow was also clearly seen. We also found that due to the decrease in fertility of the soil, there was also a lack of minerals that was found in the soil. And all of this had a big impact on humidity and moisture. And the cause of all of this was urbanization. And it's actually quite sad altogether.
I'm really happy that you're able to make all those connections and realize that everything is connected. Like from the trees to the land to soil to temperature. It's really great that you made those connections and thought about how all that works together and how that impacts not just human lives, but everything around you, the animal life. That's quite amazing to
Yes.
see that you made those connections at such a young age.
I mean, we have to be grateful for wildlife and animals and plants because we live with them together. And well, if it's bad for them, it's bad for us. So
Great point.
we, yeah, so we should really look for them because if we don't have a lot of crops, it would be a big problem for the food industry and for humans then.
What do you plan on doing next with your research? Is there anything you can do to help people understand, this is a big impact in your community, and the way, if urbanization keeps growing or you keep losing forests, it's going to be an even bigger impact to your community and perhaps health of people. Um, any thoughts on what to do next?
Well, we're all young students and nobody will really listen to us. But I think that maybe the best thing we could do is just educate the people that live in our town and get through to them and tell them the whole situation, and maybe they will open their eyes and I don't know, maybe get together and plant more trees or recycle more or just live a more bio-friendly lifestyle.
I understand it's difficult being young and not being heard, but I do want to point out you have a voice and you have numbers. There's a lot more younger
Yes.
students than there are a lot of older people like my generation. So I hopefully, and you're passionate. That shows in the work that you're doing. So I just want to
Well,
encourage you to continue doing that, because you do have a voice. This is your planet. So it means a lot for you to take care of it. So hopefully I think you're on the right path as far as just letting people know. Just stay passionate, and use that voice that you're given.
thank
I
you.
also, Brian, did you want to say something? Oh, I thought that I heard another voice.
I also wanted to say that, for example, the last time we did a webinar with you, we made like a poster and we put it up in the local library of the town, and a lot of people actually gathered around it and read it, and I think it helped to open their eyes to the whole situation. And I think that that's a big step for our town, and we should like continue doing such work because that's the only way we could educate them really.
That's perfectly said. Perfectly said. And once again, there's reason why we picked your guys' presentation, all five of them today, because of exactly what you're showing, that passion, that energy, for your not only your community but your planet. So once again, great job, you guys. There are some comments that are written in the chat box. I want to encourage you to read through them. Very well spoken, very well said. Great job.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. Brian, we can probably go to the next presentation unless there's any other questions from the folks online or anything they want to write down in the chat box. You have a lot of really nice things that people said about you guys. So good job.
Yeah. Make sure you check those out. Yep. And I just put all the, sorry, I was silent there for a bit because I was putting all the IVSS project links for all the presentations today in the chat, so you can check that out. I have all 5 in there. I had to do tiny URLs because if I didn't, each link would have taken up the entire screen. So great little tiny URLs for that. So yeah, okay. All right, so let me go ahead back to the PowerPoint because the rest of the presentations will be recordings, and we have the students on here as well for question and answer after that. So let me go ahead and share again. Okay, let me go down here. Yes, that's where we are. Yeah, right there we go. All right, so featured presentation number 3, and we're going all the way to Estonia, the Estonian Learning Expedition, which Peter Falcon and I have been part of. So this is a land cover investigation and Taviskota using globe methods. And students, Christopher, Art, Louisa, Rasmus, Elise, and globe educators Laura and Imbi. So excited to see this presentation, this video. So let me go ahead and start this, and we will then have question and answer after this. So here we go.
Hi everyone, my name is Luisa Kurs and I introduce you the results of our work that we conducted near Taivaskoja in last summer. This is our research team. Land cover plays a crucial role in understanding ecosystem, biodiversity, and environmental changes. We conducted land cover observations in the Taivaskoja area using the globe methods to assess vegetation, structure, and composition. Our goal was to compare 2 different research areas and test hypotheses related to shrub density, ground vegetation coverage, forest openness, and tree canopy density. The data was collected in Taivaskoja on August 13th, 2024. Taivaskoja is located in the southeast of Estonia. Our study focused on key vegetation parameters, including shrub density, ground vegetation abundance, forest density, and tree canopy coverage. Based on initial observations, we formulated the 5 hypotheses. Data collection tools included a measuring tape, string, MOOC code guide, phone compass, densitometer, clinometer, and field markers to ensure accurate measurements. MOOC code for the research area is 0192. Measure species in the pine tree. We measured the height and circumference of trees. 3 pines, each measurement measured 3 times. The tree height at the first measurement site ranged from 27.5 to 35.5 meters. The canopy cover at the first site was between 54 and 64%. The second research area was located on the other bank of the river. The MOOC code for the research area 2 is 0193. The tree height in the second measurement site ranged from 33.5 to 37.3 meters. The canopy cover at the second site, it ranged from 72.5 to 97%. The average height of trees was higher in area 2. We also measured the circumference of the same trees. The circumference was larger in area 2. Here you can see research area 2. We also conducted ground cover observation in both areas. It was higher in area 2. Here you can see canopy cover in area 2. The herb layer is less abundant than in the study session forest. The forest at the measurement site is more sparse than the study session. The herb layer is more sparse at the measurement site. There are many shrubs at the measurement site. The tree canopy is denser at the measurement site. Here are some examples of plants. Thank you for listening.
Awesome. Always enjoy seeing these videos. It's always something new for me to learn from different parts of the world and see how trees are and all the things that students are doing. So once again, great work. I didn't see any questions in the chat, but if you have any comments or any questions, please put them in there because the students can read them afterwards. Are they here? Or is it Laura answering questions today?
Luisa is not here, but I guess Elisa from Estonia. Elisa, is it you who was part of the group is here, and also Imbi, the other supervisor. I just have to say that it's almost 8 p.m. in Estonia already, so it's kind of late, but we're happy to answer if you have any questions.
Well, first off, just amazed that students are up that are willing to be a part of this at that time. I think I would be playing video games or something at that age. But that just shows the passion of Globe students. So that's awesome to see. How did you guys come to pick these research sites? Because they seem pretty dense with forest trees and stuff like that. So how did you go about finding your research sites?
Well, I guess the other supervisor, Imbi, can answer because when we do these expeditions, we kind of do some work before, and the supervisors usually propose some ideas, and then together with students, they choose the sites. But Imbi, you can answer about this question.
Okay, please repeat the question. What
Sure.
is the question?
How did you come about finding your sites, your research sites?
How we find it?
Yes.
Okay. It was the natural place near the river, and we tried to select the different, no, little bit different, and places. And one site was in Estonian small hill, and the other was near the river. That the latitude and the places were different. Some coordinates differences, but main difference was in how high it was from the sea level. Some different meters, and it is a reason why the moisture of the soil and it's different, and it influence the trees and canopy and other things. Our idea was to show students that the different places have the same species, but a little bit different no, results of biometry. Everywhere in
Yeah.
Estonia are growing spruces and birches, but yes, but how high they and what's the no, how they look, it's different because they are growing in the different places.
Hmm. And did the students enjoy the process of going out there and making measurements and being a part of the globe team?
Of course, they enjoy, and this we find that not a lot of differences. It's very no, interesting no, for us and for students always. Always, it is very important. And we took the photos and we tried to find the real plants, but here was on the picture in the center, one supervisor more. She was a botanist, a very good botanist in Estonia, and she taught the children different plants, and were very happy to find one side, one rare plant.
Mhm.
Wow.
Excellent. Once again, excellent work. I see in the chat, our colleague from Brazil even says excellent. So
Thank you very much.
yeah, when the students wake up and go to school in the next day, please let them know that so many people from different parts of the globe community saw their work and were very interested in it, and just congratulate them for us, please.
One thing I really enjoy about hearing about the Estonian learning expedition is the variety of places that you decide you're going to have it. I first took part in it in Estonia in 2015. I can't believe it's 10 years ago. And then Peter Falcon and I were there in Kazmu 2 years ago, 2023. So yeah, just how you choose these locations, these perfect locations. You in Kazmu, where you have the interaction between the interaction between the Baltic Sea and the forest, that area there, versus you had this research here showed the location of these forested areas with the river running between the two. So yeah, just great great use of the environment in choosing these locations. So love to see where the Estonian learning expedition goes every year.
Yes, our students are very motivated and interested in this, in globe expeditions. We are very happy, and this summer we will organize again in the next place. And now I am a school teacher also, and I'm teach future biology teacher at university level, but I am a school teacher and I have children. I'm going to the global expedition this year, and they are all very motivated.
Excellent. That's evident with the great research that all the students are doing. So thank you so much for this. And as Peter said, let them know that we are excited to see their presentation and all the research.
Thank you very much.
All right, let's move to the fourth presentation here, and this is from the United States, Crestwood High School. And I should say Dearborn Heights, Michigan, by the way, in the United States, analyzing relationships between tree coverage and surface temperature at five school canopies in Dearborn Heights, Michigan. So students, Lamisa, Elizabeth, and Maria, and Globe educator Diana Johns, who's been with the Globe for a very long time. She's a legend with the Globe program, and Peter can echo that sentiment as well. So let me go ahead and play this video that they sent along. And then I know we have students there at Crestwood standing by. Here we go. Let's go ahead and start this video.
Hello, everyone. We're students from Crestwood High School, and we're happy to share the research that we conducted this past summer at each of our 5 different district schools. Our project, analyzing relationships between tree coverage and surface temperatures at 5 school canopies in Dearborn Heights, explores how urban tree canopies influence surface temperatures in our hometown, Dearborn Heights, Michigan. This data means a lot to us because it is so close to our home, and there's so much more that we can do with the evidence that was collected. So without further ado, let us walk you through our research process and what we discovered about trees and how they affect our local environment. Dearborn Heights is a suburb of Detroit. As you can see on the map, this is where we live and study. These 5 schools are the areas in which us and many other people grew up in. And with time, we noticed a shift in the number of trees that surround them. We chose to study right here because urban tree canopies play a huge and critical role in moderating temperature. We also wanted to see how trees around our classrooms could make a difference in how hot or cool our neighborhood feels.
Brian, I don't hear any more volume.
I don't think there is any right now. I'm not sure what.
In order for us to answer,
There we go. Sorry, there was like a strange thing in the middle of the video. There we go.
With that being said, we started with a simple but very, very important question. Do the amount and type of trees at Crestwood affect how hot those areas feel? In order for us to answer that, we had to conduct a lot of data. We measured air and surface temperatures at 5 different spots around our school. We recorded tree species such as the hackberry tree, measured trunk diameter, DBH, height, which varied across our data, and especially crown width, since wider canopies mean more shade. We also measured PAR, which shows how much sunlight passes through the trees.
Our null hypothesis was that tree traits don't affect temperature in any way, shape, or form. However, our data didn't support this. Instead, we came to the realization that trees are known to cool areas through shade and transpiration. To support our overall claim, we gathered key data like species, size, and surrounding light and heat. And we did it by first identifying the trees by using both the Leaf Snap app and a field guide to ensure the best accuracy. For the measurements, we used a DBH tape used to capture the trunk diameter. The Globe Observer app was used for the tree height, which was measured in meters, and a measuring tape which was used to calculate crown width. A PER Werner probe was used a lot to dictate how much sunlight was passed through the canopy, and an infrared thermometer was used to compare different surface temperatures inside and outside of the shade. Air temperature readings were taken using the Globe protocol. All data was uploaded to the Globe database, which gave us a strong foundation to evaluate how these tree characteristics related to urban heat. After we had gathered our data, we had to analyze it. And our data revealed clear trends all throughout. To start off, we noticed dense crowns, known as the PER, acted like umbrellas, making a major difference in light passage for the trees. For instance, in the graph on the screen, it shows the comparison between the PER readings that we took and the crown width measurements. Canopy spread alongside crown width are the key and indicating factors when wanting to compare the effect of different trees on different surface temperatures.
We also wanted to dive into the species we continue to see on a regular basis, explore the extent of support these trees are capable of providing throughout, and look into the ideal ways of deciding which trees should be planted in the future. We noticed over time that invasive species tend to outgrow native species and dominate their habitat. This gave us insight into what the invasive trees were and helped us shape the claim that when wanting to effectively plant trees, one should avoid planting invasive species. Along the way, we noticed a very dominant pattern, which is also represented by the graph shown on the screen. As you can see, larger trees tended to have a greater trunk width. These factors give us insight to the stability of trees, and this could help us in determining which species to look into when wanting to grow more trees in the future. One of the most important trends we noticed was the fact that crown and canopy width and surface temperature differences had a positive correlation. In other words, Trees with larger canopies tended to show a greater difference in inner versus outer canopy temperature. This helps us make the claim that tree canopy size change and significantly impact surface temperature and area within the canopy.
With these findings, we saw that our results are part of a growing body of evidence. Research from the USDA Forest Service, including studies done by NOAC, which were conducted in 2017, found that trees significantly regulate temperature and air quality, showing that treeless areas are, in fact, on average, 2.6 degrees Celsius hotter. Locally, we noticed that former Crestwood High School Globe alumni Itidal Bazi and Zena Jabora also observed that native tree species help reduce both surface temperature and ambient air temperatures. Our study aligns with and builds upon their work by including a wider variety of species and more extensive data on collection methods. To conclude, our study demonstrated that tree characteristics like non-invasive species, such as the Norway maple, stability, canopy size, and density, all have a significant role in reducing local temperatures, which then helps us combat urban heat effects. These results support and expand on previous research that was taken. Strategic tree planting, guided by these characteristics, can not only improve comfort and health, but it can also help the environmental equity in urban canopies.
Building on our findings, it's important to consider what limits our study and what we can do next. While we saw that tree species diversity and canopy size affect local temperatures and light levels, our measures were limited to temperature and photosynthetically active radiations. Factors like soil quality, water availability, and microclimates likely play a role but were not part of the study. Additionally, our data came from limited locations on the school campus, so expanding the number and the variety of sites could heavily improve accuracy. To deepen understanding and improve urban planning, future research should incorporate these environmental variables and longer term monitoring to better capture seasonal changes and tree growth impacts. Building on what we've discussed today, we can clearly see that tree coverage impacts temperature. But why does that exactly matter? Well, it ties back to our everyday lives. In a dense urban area, especially Dearborn Heights, where athletic fields, playgrounds, and walking routes are often exposed, extreme heat directly affects student health, physical performance, and comfort. More strategic canopy planning, based on what we pointed today, can be a solution in not only creating a safer but a healthier space for everyone in our community. In order for us to make a lasting difference, we plan to present our data to our Crestwood School Board and Facilities team, who just passed a new bond. As they begin to look into funding new construction, we hope to be able to help identify areas on campus that would benefit the most from shade and recommend the most impactful trees. We'd also like to establish a globe connected monitoring project so future students just like us can continue collecting data and tracking improvements. Change starts with awareness, and now we have the much needed evidence to drive it.
Thank you all for joining us today. We are beyond grateful to our teachers and our instructors, Mrs. Johns and Ms. Lena Abbas, to NASA and for the GROW program for supporting our research, and for the Trees Around the Globe Research Campaign for giving us the honor to present to you all today. We hope that our research inspires you. For me personally, this research has taught me so much, and it's only made me realize what wonderful thing nature has to bring to the world. I no longer put trees underneath the same category, but I also try to analyze them just for fun. Trees are now no longer just another part of nature, but they are another part of me and who I am.
And I always thought that a tree was a tree and that tree was just another tree. But as my research progressed, I have come to an important realization, which is that not only have I learned so much, but that I was so blinded before. This research opened my eyes and changed my perspective. I saw that trees add so much beauty, and I can now look at them and appreciate them as wonderful gifts from nature. But not just that, I was also able to realize that with this research, I myself have also evolved and become a part of a real solution, one that's crucial to advocating for greener and healthier futures, not just for this community, but even possibly the world as a whole.
Thank you all for joining us, and we welcome all of your questions and your ideas.
That was an awesome video.
Yeah.
Congratulations. That was really good. Well put together. And you seem like you did a lot of just stuff. You did a lot of measurements there. So for everyone else, if you have questions, comments, please once again put them in the chat box. We can read through them, or the students can read through them afterwards. Cassie wrote, seriously wowed by the presentation, and she writes that it's awesome with this exclamation mark. So once again, great job. Question for you. Were there any variables that now that you look back, you wish like, oh darn, I wish we would have measured that to see what the relationship between tree height is with that particular variable?
Okay, so first of all, thank you so much for all the kind words. We seriously appreciate it. One thing that we did want to look into, and we're like, oh, dang it, was we were like, and when we look back now, we're like, oh, we wish we did that because we could have done so much more with that and the photosynthetically active radiation. Like moving back, we'd definitely go back and do that. Also, maybe I feel like if we would have analyzed like stuff related to the soil and like how like different species affected the soil, it would have helped us a lot to know like how much impact each individual species, native versus non-native, invasive or non-invasive, would have had. It's like looking back, we would have went into those specific factors.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Your colleagues from Argentina say just wrote very interesting and a complete research project. So that's from Argentina.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Brian.
Yeah, I really love your parting statements about how the research opened your eyes and helped you evolve and helped you understand the future of what your observations mean. That I really like the just the way everything was laid out was great. You did you came up with the hypotheses. You tested the questions, you did the research, you then did the analysis, and then you had it made sense in the real world. Then you talked about how you're going to take it to the community and the decision makers, and then how you made it personal to the students in the school, and then how you took it personally and how you can use that information personally and into the future. So full circle, completely full circle. So very cool.
Yeah, thank you
Thank
so
you.
much. Thank you so much.
One other comment from our colleagues from Globe Europe, Linka. She writes in the chat, really interesting and inspiring work. Congratulations. It's great that you also worked with literacy sources and thought about the limitations of your research. And it's wonderful that you plan to get involved in tree planting. So that's something that she really liked and really enjoyed seeing in your presentation.
Yeah,
Thank you.
thank you. Reading these comments is such a pleasure. Like, thank you guys so much. It's very motivating and really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
One thing I would add, you guys are, once again, we love that our Globe students are very passionate. Have you thought about, I see it's just three of you guys, three of you girls. Have you thought about, making your team larger by working with some younger students that are coming to your school next year for maybe next year's project to kind of grow your research team and include younger people, kind of pass on that knowledge that you have?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this research is not limited, and we hope that maybe we can spread the word about the research that we have, because this is our first year conducting research for Globe, and it's really such an honor. But coming in head first and not knowing what to expect, and I feel like not many people are aware of this wonderful blessing that's going on behind the scenes. And I feel like um, a bunch of times the younger generation oftentimes thinks of experiments and collecting data as just what you do in class in your science class, but it's really a lot more. And I think that the biggest thing for us that would help us expand this research and expand our group is really just spreading the word of really all that it's done for us and how much it's helped us and how much we grew along this journey. And hopefully, speaking to the younger generations, us going into our senior year, we have a lot ahead, and we're hoping to pass the blessing. So when we leave, or even while we're still here, people can join us and be a part of our group.
Yeah, also, I just to add on what Salami said, we like for us, and I know another group did this where they connected like 2 years worth of data. So we are planning, hopefully, like with the data that we did, like we could start like a monitoring project at our school. It's like open the pathway, and then as like newer students come, they could look at what we did and then do it. And we'd love to also see like maybe like right now, like there's freshmen coming in, and as those freshmen kind of come in, and you mentioned we have a bond going up. It's like as those freshmen grow into seniors, that bond would have already had taken into effect. The construction would have started. So I'd love to like see them monitor and take on what we did, and then do it after the bond, and see like, oh, what changed, what happened, did what factors were taken in consideration. Were we able to like make benefits even with the construction and everything? Were we able to like plant native species, help out, like rebuild in a more effective way. So like, that's one thing that we want to look into. So like hopefully right now we could like inspire the freshmen to like as we leave to look into and monitor the progress that happens as the bond goes on.
And of course, to add on to what she said, it's great to socialize with the younger generations and to let them know, but it's evident that a bunch of the work that's going on is virtual now. So a bunch of students are heavily on social media. A lot of things get advocated through social media. I guess making a post through your socials hits differently than just putting up a poster in the hallway. So hopefully we already have social media accounts. So we have an Instagram account where we track our ideas, and we show evidence of what we gone through and the cool things that we've seen along the way. And so really what we're trying to do is collect all data that we have and present it to the younger generations and to the board. And hopefully the board can also pass on the message to the community through things like our Crestwood News Network, where we have two students every week who go on and they make a video talking about the wonderful things that are going on around the school. So not many kids know about Globe, as I mentioned before, but hopefully the more that we progress in this research, the more that it passes to the upperclassmen, and then it will be shared amongst the younger children.
I must
Thank
say,
you.
you young ladies are very mature and well educated beyond your age there. Not only do you have a lot to say, which is great to hear, you have already thought about how to create messaging in ways that hit different audiences. Like know your audience in what ways they speak. Like you mentioned, Instagram, social media. You're hitting the posters on the walls, but you're hitting audiences where they're at, and that's really important to get your message across. So once again, great job, well put together. I love how cohesive you guys are, how well you work together, and I hope that you can expand on that and work with other students to get them just as passionate and caring about not just trees, but about your community, your planet. So once again, just very awe-inspiring. Great job. I would once again encourage you to read the chat because there's a few more comments in there about your guys' work.
Thank you so
Thank you
much.
so much.
We appreciate it.
We appreciate it a lot.
Yes, thank you so much. All right, so last but not least, we have the final presentation of the day. And this is NASA STEM Enhancement in Earth Science, the SEAS program, Earth System Explorer, predicting wildfire risk based on land cover classification and past wildfire data in California. And we have students Atharva, Akshad, Anyana, and Christina. And we have a long list of Globe educators and mentors, Dr. Rosian Lowe, Cassie Soving, who is with us today, Peter Nelson, Dr. Erica Podest, Andrew Clark, Andrew Liu, and Benjamin Hirschman. And it is going to be a video as well. And I believe we have students standing by for question and answer and discussion afterwards. But let me go ahead and play the video for you. Here we go.
Hello, everyone. Our project is predicting wildfire risk based on land cover classification and past wildfire data in California. Our team members are Atharva, Akshita, Ananya, and Christina. Wildfires are becoming more frequent and severe due to climate change and human activities. These fires cause significant loss of life, property, and biodiversity, while also having long-term effects on ecosystems and air quality. The financial burden of wildfires includes not only the immediate costs of firefighting and damage repair, but also the economic losses from disrupted communities and businesses. Our research question is, what are the key structural components of land cover that most significantly influence fire danger, and how can they be effectively identified using the Globe Observer app and historical fires? Our main objective is to find correlations between land cover types and wildfire risk.
Now on to methodology. Our project uses data from past California wildfires to predict fire risk. We used historical and land cover types such as forests, grasslands, shrublands, urban, and bodies of water. Our algorithm analyzes if there's correlation between certain land cover types and the risk of fire. Our data set, which was taken from ArcGIS, was split into 3 categories or strata of very high risk of wildfire, relatively moderate risk of wildfire, and very low risk of wildfire. A sample of 33 randomly selected points was taken from each strata as well. These values were then fed into the FEMA wildfire risk map, which gave us information on the wildfire risk at that exact location. After identifying our main points, we utilized the location photos, north, south, east, and west, and labeled the type of land cover found at that location.
Now, looking at the data and model, as Akshata mentioned before, so we have the FEMA risk map, which we use to identify the risk, the wildfire risk in every coordinate, and then we have the machine learning model, which we use for predictive analysis. So here are our results. So on the left side, you can see the chart, which shows that wildfires actually had a low to moderate risk in forest areas and a high risk rate in urban areas, which was really interesting to us because we expected forests to have a high risk rate due to its easy spread. But upon further research, we realized that in forests, there's a lot of humidity, which prevents wildfires from going on. And in urban areas, there's a lot of tools and gas pipes, etc., which can lead to combustion and quick spontaneous fires. The graph on the right kind of highlights the significance of the land cover classification versus the significance of the historical fires. And you can clearly see that land cover classification plays a much bigger role in predicting wildfire risk. So for our classification technique, we used a random forest to help with the classification model. And basically, our classification task, the result is the wildfire risk category, which is chosen by most trees. And the random forests actually help prevent overfitting, which can be a common issue with individual decision trees. And it kind of ensures that our model can be used anywhere else, not just in California. And our model had a 75% accuracy. So it was able to kind of predict things and really find a pattern between our data.
So through our work, we discovered that there is a direct relation between the type of land cover and the associated fire risk. For example, forests generally exhibit low to relatively low risk, whereas shrublands and grasslands demonstrate a relatively high to a very high risk. Urban areas actually have a varying level of risk from moderately high to very high, mostly depending on their location and population density. Finally, wetlands and bodies of waters present moderately high to relatively high wildfire risk. And on behalf of my team, I would like to thank Margaret Baggio and Selena Miller from the Center for Space Research, as well as the 2024 Earth Science Explorers Advisors, Dr. Peter Nelson, Dr. Russan Lowe, Dr. Cassie Sofing, and Andrew Clark, as well as our working team mentors, Andrew and Benjamin, for helping us with this project. And some highlights from this experience. Obviously, we got a lot of support from our mentors, and there are plenty of resources for our project. one challenge was definitely coordinating meetings across different time zones and schedules.
We would like to thank NASA CEAS and express our gratitude for this wonderful opportunity. Thank you very much.
Unfortunately, our students weren't able to join us today, as she mentioned, different regions. But once again, amazing work. It's great to see them putting together a model where they can use to measure the impact of fires. Living in California, we recently had a huge fire, so this obviously has a major impact for myself, my family, and people all over the Los Angeles community. So for me personally, this is something that really hits home, and I imagine so for many other people as well. I want to encourage you, even though our students are not here, unfortunately, if you put your comments in the chat, we can definitely share them with the students at some point. I know we have Cassie, she could probably send those comments to these students to encourage them once again to continue making research. So with that, Brian, do you have anything to add, anything you would like to mention about their work?
Yep, sure. Yes, you can see this project. Yeah, this is through the NASA CEAS program, which you can see the NASA STEM Enhancement in Earth Science. And this is a project. Some of the other ones you saw as well today, but this is one also that really takes the research, looking at the past and present data, and making it make sense in the real world and applicable to real life things that are happening, like the wildfires, as Peter mentioned. California, where Peter is, Southern California, was devastated by wildfires, in the, very recent past, which affected a lot of his colleagues at the Jet Propulsion Laboratory, who lost their homes completely. Many folks there, I believe a couple, maybe 100 or more, Peter. So very, very, hits very close to home, literally. So this is the type of research that is super important. And this is why, earth science is super important, because we have this historical data that helps us understand, what the current data is saying and how we can, use this to, predict models for future issues that may arise, with wildfires and things like that. So, but yeah, this is great. Yeah. As Peter mentioned, get the information in the chat, any comments or, questions for the students, so we can get those to Cassie, who is on now, and we can forward those. We can have her forward those to the students at any time. So I just want to end this webinar with this final slide. This is announcing the next webinar. It will be on the 17th of June. That's a Tuesday. I know today's Wednesday, but this is the best day for that the presenters and students could be here. But we're going to go back to a regularly scheduled Tuesday. And this will be the State of Trees, June 2025, highlighting tree and land cover across globe and NASA through ground-based observations and space-based data comparisons with the trees around the globe community opportunity. So stay tuned for what that opportunity is. So we're excited to bring this webinar to you, and it will be at 1:00 p.m. Eastern Time, at 1700 UTC, 1900 Central European Time. So we're excited for all of you to participate in this. You will get an email soon regarding this as a reminder. But then also you will get a message later this afternoon, or for some of you, you folks in Europe especially, you either get it this evening or first thing tomorrow morning, about the recording of this webinar, that it will be available for you to view. And all you students who presented today, show this to your family and friends that you presented. It'll be there for posterity. It'll be there on our Trees Around the Globe Student Research Campaign website, our webinar page specifically. So I'm going to stop sharing. And
can I add one thing before you do that, Brian? Or
yep.
if you do, that's fine. When just for the students, when Brian and I were talking about putting this together, mostly Brian, he does most of the work, to be honest. But as we were looking through the trees, the IVSS projects and trees and land cover, we had to make decisions, and they're all great projects. But there's a reason why we picked you guys. We thought you guys did extremely well. We thought you guys deserved another venue to kind of talk about your presentations to each other. And I have to admit, you did not disappoint. You all did amazing. You all did great work, and I'm glad we picked you guys. So great job.
All right. Thank you, everyone, and have a wonderful rest of the day, afternoon, evening, wherever you're coming from, and see you next time. Take care, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.